Welcome to a Drop Tent Media production.
The Porcupine with Adam Nutter.
Yo, what's up? Adam Nutter, Porcupine. How are you? Good, I hope. Or I don't know. I don't really care. I hope you're doing good. Guys, go follow my new Twitter account at Tattooed Comic. Please, thank you. All right, we got to grow that shit back up to 3,000 again and not 120. It sucks. One of my guests knows what that's like. So we fucking, god damn it, dude. It's such a bummer. Maybe Papa Elon just bought Twitter though again, so maybe I could get unbanned. That'd be fucking sick. Guys, go buy a shirt, please, and thank you. droptent.com/store. That's the wrong close. Hold on, wait a minute. Go to the Porcupine. Super professional production over here. There it is. Go to the droptent.com/store. Buy a white Porcupine shirt. Buy a black Porcupine shirt. Buy your Disobey Your Local Nutter shirt. Buy artwork by Top Lobster himself. Cool, please, and thank you. What else I got going on? This Saturday, pop in Chalfont, Pennsylvania. Come on out. Tickets are available. Droptent.com/events. Myself, Neil Wood, Brian Fennell, Brian Six, John Del Calo. It's going to be a great show. Some tickets are left, so get them while you can. It's like 30, 40 minutes outside of Philly. So come on out to that. And then I'll be in Orlando later this month, which I think is technically sold out now. So I'll find out for next episode. But if it's not, come. If it is, fucking should have got up when I told you. I don't know what to tell you guys. All right, I have two amazing guests for today. First, I'm going to bring in my man from Delaware, from the host of I'm sorry, Jesus Christ, I can't even fucking speak. Dave Casey, everybody. Jesus, Dave vs. Goliath podcast. I'm so fucking tired. I'm sorry. Dave, how are you?
Dude, it's great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
And of course, for the Check Your Brain podcast, comedian Tony Mazur. What's up, brother bear?
I'm doing well. I got to go back to Delaware. I don't know if it was for this show, but I want to get that tattoo. I'm going to subscribe to the podcast just to get that tattoo in Delaware.
No, that's Cult of Us. That's Cult of
Cult
Us.
of Us. I know. I'm crossing streams, just like Ghostbusters. I'm crossing streams.
Yeah, no, I don't have a Patreon for this one. I should get one. I don't have one. Cult of Us, yeah, it's the Cult of Us podcast has a Patreon. Which, guys, go listen to that, youtube.com/Cult of Us. You want to listen to comedy and not boring political stuff all the time. Go check that out. So, guys, nuclear war. What do you guys think? Are we going to get that or not?
Oh, let's avoid it. But
Yeah?
if we can, let's just keep people on the brink so they think it's always a possibility as to make them do whatever we want them to do.
Fair. I'm sure you guys saw Elon's tweet when he was like, hey, maybe we should try to find a peaceful solution to this and maybe not blow up the world. And then that scumbag from Ukraine was like, do you like a pro-Russia Musk or a pro-Ukraine Musk? Like, what a fucking warmonger piece of shit. He really is such a piece of shit. What do you guys think about that shit?
Oh, well, first I wanted to say about nuclear war. The first thing I wanted to say is if we are having children's hospitals wanting this gender-affirming care in this country, you know what? I wouldn't mind nuclear war at this point.
Yeah, fair.
It's just like, is this... the whole big thing is this really worth saving? Is this what we're going to do, is tell that boys are girls, girls are boys, everything like that, that Zelensky may as well be Winston Churchill? Just go through the whole thing. Is this really worth saving? Maybe we need Elon Musk to just step out of the way, and then we just nuke ourselves. That's okay. It's just like the end of Doctor Strangelove.
I'm convinced, man. I'm not ready to throw out the baby with the bathwater. I'm convinced this is the work of just a few assholes. Humanity is beautiful. We should work to, salvage what we have. And Elon is just, man, he's so close, but he has faith in the system. That's the problem. He thinks that people are interested in peace, you know?
Yeah.
The U.S., the cathedral, NATO, they're not interested in peace. That is not the goal, right? They want to bleed Russia dry. They want to launder money through weapons contractors in Ukraine and set up, proxy wars and proxy leaders and, whatever they can do to get theirs.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like, obviously the pipeline just got blown up or whatever the fuck. And then you just watch all those videos, like, scrolling back when you have all these like leaders, Biden too, who's just like, he's like, no, it won't go through. We'll make sure of it. It's like, okay, man, how can you say we're being conspiracy theorists? Like when they're saying blatantly, like they blew it up probably. And then wasn't there like radar maps of like U.S. naval ships like right over the fucking like area the night before it blew up or something like that? Like just crazy shit like that. So yeah, I mean, we clearly don't want peace. We just want to continue war for sure. War makes money.
Yeah, and we definitely don't want. I mean, and this is just. I'm not a student of history really, but I know that the past 100 years, lots of the conflict was based on Germany and Russia strengthening their alliance.
Right.
And the U.S. can't have that, man. It's against the interests,
Yeah, well, it's funny Nazis are fighting socialists again. Or like it's kind of bringing that shit back to World War II. Tony, you have a good point too with the children's hospital stuff. It's like they're suing now, or they asked DOJ to investigate like Matt Walsh and like other
Libs of
people.
TikTok, yeah.
That's straight like not crony cap, well, kind of crony capitalism a little bit, but just straight as like actual fascism. Like you have this fucking hospital who's working with the government to silence the truth.
Yeah, that story came out yesterday, and it was Chris Rufo was posting about it, saying that there is was it the AMA, the American Medical Association or whatever? They are pressuring using big tech to go after Matt Walsh, to go after Libs of TikTok, and anybody. Now, what are they doing? Are they skewing things? Probably in a conservative way, but what all they're doing, all Libs of TikTok, this is what's great about it, is a mirror. That's all they're doing is, hey, they are publicly, they're not doxing, they're publicly posting the shit on TikTok, and all they're doing is giving them another platform to say, hey, by the way, this is what your 9-year-old is watching on TikTok, and now they want who banned? Not the TikToker. They wanted Libs of TikTok banned. This is insane that goes on in this country. And, when you think about what Putin's doing and when you think about China and anything in the East, in the Middle East, us in the West, we just have our priorities just completely out of whack. I mean, I'm seeing people my age, I'm 34, going insane over adult Happy Meals now.
Yes.
Like, where are our priorities?
I just tweeted out yesterday. I was like, the same people who get psyched up for adult Happy Meals are the same adult childless losers who go to Disney every year and wear the fucking like Mickey hats and like get psyched to see Goofy. I'm like, you guys are bringing this country down. Like it's you.
Well, they're adult children. They're the same people who believe that Russia blew up their own pipeline. They're the same people that believe that Stacey Abrams won the election in Georgia. It's because all they are told how to think, what to feel, who to vote for by corporate press. That's all it is that these are people that they're what we used to call useful idiots. And those are the people that they just, they're the consumers. They're the ones who went to go see Bros over the weekend. Just because Billy Eichner told them if they don't go see it, they're a homophobic weirdo. It's just, it's this, man, it's so funny because when you talk about Putin and what Putin wants to do and what's going on as far as geopolitics, and then what we're so concerned about culturally in America, it's two different. It's not even two different societies and two different hemispheres. It's two different universes that we live in now.
Dude,
agreed.
You talked about TikTok culture here. Literally on TikTok, like China gets they get a way different algorithm. So over here, the kids get, all of the LGBTQ, trans, non-binary, be whatever you want, imagine this, whatever. While they get like straight up fucking hype videos on like, dudes being dudes and, I'm sure women being women, whatever. They get different programming over there. That's kind of like the big thing. Like everybody tracks your data and shit. That's like nothing new. Facebook, all that. But like they are programming their kids a certain way and they're programming our kids a certain way. So again, man, I think that this is like the actions of a few. They're kind of fucking it up for the many. And, it's no coincidence that the kids are the ones, who are falling victim to most of this demonic shit, because like they're just not around. They're not developed, and like that's why it's up to the parents to protect the kids. And if you have the parents who are co-signing this shit, we're fucked. If the parents aren't looking out for the kids, man, because I can tell, yeah, you're pissed about this shit. And anybody who's rational up here should be pissed about that. I can't imagine. I've been talking about this recently, and Dave talked about it on Joe. It's like, we're like liberty dudes. You know, we want people to live how they want to live, but like this is some triggering shit.
Right.
What they're doing to like kids. So I can't imagine like how middle America is reacting to this. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, man, that pendulum swing, when that comes back, it's gonna fucking
yeah.
wreck
Like
shit.
as the years gone on, I mean, like, when I say years, I mean like 3 years ago. Like just as that recently for me personally, I've ditched more in like the political stuff, and I care more about the culture shit, like way more, because I feel like the culture shit, especially with our kids, is like that's what's gonna really make or break this country. I personally feel, and if we don't, like the three of us and other like-minded men and women like us, don't stand up and say something, even if it's just doing fucking podcasts or talking to your neighbors or whatever the fuck it is. I'm not saying go out there and start marching, but like we gotta do something, because they're actively destroying our youth. Like again, they're making them weak on purpose. Like the attack against masculine men. I mean, how much do you see that on fucking TikTok? Like it's all on purpose. And then
And the attack on the sacred feminine, man. That's why you're seeing all these like female warrior movies
Yes.
and female presidents and wear pants and you can do what the men does. It's like this inverted version of feminism. It's not that like they want equality. It's like you want to be a man almost. Like you want masculine energy. It's like this perversion of like the natural world, dude. Men and women have, like, there are gender roles for reasons. You know what I mean? For tens of thousands of years worth of reasons behind them. And like to just all of a sudden be like, no, it doesn't fucking matter. Be whatever you want. Like that's just, it's absolutely insane. And the word of the day is affirming. Oh, you're going to affirm this kid? This 12-year-old comes to the fucking student, the counselor at school and goes, yeah, I'm a boy, but I think I'm a girl. And they go, you know what? You are. And, you know, we're not even going to tell your parents. In Delaware, dude, they're doing fucked up shit. Like, they realized that parents were getting a bill for, like, either abortions or for, like, you know, gender-affirming surgeries or whatever, hormones, shit like that. They were getting the bill for it without knowing that it was done. So, like, instead of the parents suing the state, like, fuck this is crazy, the state is like, no, we need to figure out a way to, like, protect the privacy of the child so that when they get the bill, they like won't know what it's for. Like it's absolutely insane, dude.
Yeah, and
yeah.
like
Isn't that what you go through the whole thing where they say it's not happening, but if it was, it's a good thing. We're now not only is it happening, but now it's a good thing. So because I remember 10 years ago, I had it's really odd. Every girl I dated before I met my wife turned into like a pink-haired, you know, near lesbian with tattoos on their chests and stuff like that. And so I remember having a conversation with her 10 years ago saying we're gonna get to the point where it's gonna be taxpayer funded abortion. She's like, that's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna go through. Well, of course it's happening, and it has happened, and it was happening at the time, and now we've gone past that. It's not happening to. Not only is it happening, but it's a good that it is happening, and it's really sick what's happening. Now, there is kind of that white pill because of social media. You're mentioning about Elon Musk. He's kind of where I think a lot of us were pre-Ron Paul, is that we only had a certain amount of information that was out there to be put out there in the press. And once we finally heard this Dr. Ron Paul guy talk, you're like, wait a second, that sounds pretty logical. Why aren't more people finding out about this? And I think that's where Elon Musk is. He's like starting to he's reading Huxley, he's reading Orwell. He's going, wow, wait a second, there's some parallels here. And like, that's where we were about 15 years ago, motherfucker.
I want to believe that's right so much, but he's, at the end of the day, I still view him as a U.S. weapons defense contractor. So I don't know what to think about Elon Musk. I want Twitter to be awesome. I want all my accounts back.
Yeah. Do you think that'll happen? That'd be sick.
Great.
That'd be so fucking cool. Man, I hope we bring Twitter back to like the 2010 days or 11 days or 12, where it's just like you can say, "Look at this fucking faggot retard." Like nothing.
I didn't get on until 2021, man. I really missed the best of it. I missed Trump, all of that.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed the best times.
Yeah. Legitimate Wild West shit. Like
that was so much fun. You know, when you're a young comic and you're just trying out material and you find out, hey, wait a second, I could try it out over like a different audience than being on stage. So you try out a bunch of jokes in like 2010 And then by 2018, it's like, did you say that anyone who likes Katy Perry's a faggot? Like, you got me.
Yeah, it's like, sorry I didn't delete my tweets from 10 years ago, you fucking losers. The best is looking at old NBA players' tweets. They just go hard in the paint.
Oh, yeah. Looks like I can't host the Oscars now.
Yeah, yeah, right? I don't know. It's like, the thing with Elon, to me, Dave, is like, yeah, I agree with you. Is he seems like, again, like a weapons contractor guy. He's like almost like a Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man type character without the coolness. But if the Twitter thing does go the way we hope it goes, that is a big deal. I know it's dumb because it's Twitter, but Twitter became such an occupying force of, like, again, a town center of social criticism and or platform or conversation, whatever we want to fucking call it, that it kind of is important to, like, make it how it used to be in a weird way. So, like, yeah, I consider that a win.
Even if it goes all filtered into the Neuralink. Yeah, like,
well,
just give me free speech. You can do whatever you want with it. No, I get it, dude. Yeah, we gotta take our victories where
it's right.
We get them.
I don't want to be like a cunt. Like, keep being negative. It's like, it's like, yeah. But he also just unveiled that robot, that AI robot that he wants to put out in, like,
I heard
every
about
home.
it. I didn't see that thing yet.
It didn't walk. It doesn't look cool. Like, the Boston Dynamics one is like doing fucking parkour and like climbing stairs, and this one's like walking like a stripper almost. It was like slow and like out on the stage. It was like, hi. So that creeps me out too. I gotta be honest with you. But I don't know. I think the Twitter thing is a big deal. But then, like, again, okay, so let's say Twitter gets fixed tomorrow. Let's just say Twitter gets fixed. Okay, Facebook, which is Instagram's owned by Facebook, that's still a fucking mess. Do you guys just see that video of the UN lady was saying in that interview, like, oh, now if we partner with Google, and if you search climate change, we're the first thing that comes up, so the truth.
We own the science.
Right. And it's like, well, okay, great. So we win Twitter. Awesome. And now we still lose everything else. Like, we lose the greater internet. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Well, that was the thing though during COVID, was that you need to get your information from us, and that anytime you tweeted about COVID, vaccines, masks, there would always be that disclaimer that the CDC recommends this, that. And how many people were getting banned? Now, I will say, because, Adam, you were on my podcast a couple weeks ago, and we did the show. It was one of the first things we talked about on the podcast was last year. There was a lot, I would say we're a little bit more white-pilled than we were last year, to the point where a year ago, people are still wearing masks everywhere. They were forcing vaccines. You had Biden saying, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And now everybody who's had a vaccine, in fact, it's come out now that if you've gotten the vaccine, you're now 44% more likely to contract COVID again, whereas compared to people who are unvaccinated. So all this news is finally starting to come out. So that's a good white pill. But, we got to keep it going. We can't just look back. But like you said, you're talking about those, because I think that's also a cultural battle. That's not just a political or social battle. This is the whole COVID thing was a cultural battle. And now all this gender affirming care and climate change and climate lockdowns and everything. This isn't just political. It's, like you said, it's cultural. When we fight these battles now, this isn't just about politics and Democrat, Republican, and the Libertarian Party and the Green Party. It's not about that. It's the culture. And you need to fight the culture war. And the problem is, well, I shouldn't say it's a problem, but it could be a solution, is that these battles are also cultural too. And that's where you have to win those wars. And it's about time the non-progressives are winning these culture, maybe not have won the war yet, because it's still happening. And you're still seeing in rural Missouri, you'll still see a drag brunch for kids, but you are seeing that scab get ripped off. And I like seeing that. And we just got to keep it going as far as winning this culture war.
Yeah, I agree. But, like, especially because here's the thing. You're right. Like, we totally have to. And it's not political to us, but it is political to a lot of the progressives in the left still. Like,
well, and it's religious for them too.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, okay, I was in New York today, right? I was in Gas, actually, Tony. I did rap today. So, like, I was down there. I couldn't tell you how many people I still saw double masked just on the street in Manhattan. Like a lot. And then on the train back home to Pennsylvania, it's like, as you get through Jersey, more and more people with the mask like started getting less and less, but like there was a shit ton of them. And I'm like, what are we like? Do you double masking? Like the one mask is ridiculous, but it's like they're never gonna fucking let it go because they dug their heels in and they're like, well, I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to admit I was wrong. Like that's a human, but that's like a human nature thing, right? Like we all do that in our own ways. With like, no, fucking, I can't admit defeat, like in this fucking sphere. But they do it, and when they do it though, they want us to also comply. That's the fucking problem. It's not just like them being like, oh, I'm just gonna wear my mask and do my own thing. It's usually I'm gonna wear my mask and also like you should wear a mask and you should get vaccinated and you should do this and you should do that. It's not just their own agenda. It's like their agenda plus pushing it on us. So like. And again, if that's the leadership right now, right? It's fucking a progressive, far left, fucking authoritarian dictatorship. So how do we break that? Like, you can't break through these fucking people's heads. That's what I keep saying. Like every week I go, we can't. I don't know what else to say. Like my friends of mine, even
you can't do it with facts or like statistics or graphs. That's why we libertarians have to enter the culture war.
Yeah.
Because that's where the arena is. That's why we've been irrelevant for so long, because they've been so adamant about staying out of it and just saying that, oh, wouldn't you be better off with lesser taxes? And wouldn't you, the wars would be, if we wouldn't spend this money. It's like, yo, you better get to the heart of some shit, man. You better get to what people care about. Dude, regime libertarians right now.
Yeah.
If you ask them, like, again, to go back to this, the trans debate. Like, oh, is it okay, man, if a kid says to their parent, a boy says to their parents, I'm a girl, and then the parents go, yes, you are, and they go to a doctor, and they all sit down and they go, this is a girl. Like, is it okay to then chemically castrate that kid? No, it is not.
Of course,
it's not okay just because you got some okays of some people. Like they just shut off when they go, whatever. Parental consent, or a parent okayed it, so leave it to them. Like, no, it's absolutely wrong. Like, it's not morally objective, right?
No, I totally agree. It's like
that.
That.
And by the way, you were talking about with libertarians too. I think libertarians lost that possibility of trying to fight the culture war. And I think in 2020, this is what bothered me. I know that Pete Quinones has talked about this, why he changed the name of his podcast instead of talking about libertarian theory. He's like, no, it's got to be more about culture, is because libertarians in the most important times, and I know look, I'm one myself, but we did a piss poor job of fighting the culture war. They kept saying, oh, no, that's a boomer thing. You shouldn't be doing that. We should be talking about Austrian economics. We should be talking about non-aggression principle and everything. I'm like, yeah, but we also have we have governors who are saying that you cannot enter a business because you didn't take a shot in your arm or you're not putting a piece of cloth on your face. I think we have bigger fish to fry right now in the immediate. I'm not saying, no, that's not important, but we got to take care of this right now. And libertarians, in a lot of ways, now they're finally starting to step it up a little bit. But, this is why I guess I'm more paleo than I would be a true libertarian, because I find the culture war way more important nowadays than talking about philosophy. Again, I think philosophy is important.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
It's a give and take. We're a lot. By the way, aren't we all autistic? Shouldn't we be able to do all these things at once? We can't just focus on one thing. No, we can try. We can multitask here.
Yeah, no, dude, you're right. And I was talking to Jose Galzan about this from Tower Power, but like especially like you brought the whole kid thing, and like some of these parents are like, no, I'm gonna chemically castrate my kid or whatever, and I go like, I don't give a shit about the nap at that point. Like, like all this bullshit. It's like, shouldn't we just stop that parent from harming a child? I don't give a fuck if it's your kid. It's like and I always say this. I go,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
If you were in the mall and you just watch an adult man start beating the shit out of a 6-year-old, would you go, well, it's his kid, so he could do that? No, you'd probably intervene. It's the same thing. It's like, no, we should probably intervene and be like, no, you lost the chance of having your kid. It's like you're physically harming a child, which again, to me, should be number one priority on everybody. I'm just a human being list. I don't give a fuck about a political affiliate. We should be protecting children because they're innocent and they are the future of us. Let's just be honest, right? They have no Jesus Christ, what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Consent thoughts. Is that the word I'm trying to? What's the fucking word I'm trying to think of? Well, they can't condone anything.
They can't consent. Children cannot consent.
Yeah, they
Their
can't
parents
consent.
have to, right? But we're talking about like this is just basic shit. But at some point, like okay, we don't live in Ancapistan, right?
Right.
Nobody. The idea of child protective services is like the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah.
They do awful things every day to families, destroy families.
Uh-huh.
So like, I'm saying that this is like worst case scenario shit. Like you're, God, like it's the worst torture I can possibly imagine for like a kid that like, you know, wakes up 25 one day, like a eunuch or something like that. Like I'm already reading the stories, man. Women that like take their breasts off and stuff and just like weeks later are like, what the fuck have I done?
No one wants to talk about the suicide rate. No, and they know what they'll say. They go, "That's because you bully them." I go, "No, it's not. It's because that's not what they were sad." And then they realize, "Oh, this didn't fix my sadness. Now I'm gonna fucking kill myself."
That's why there's fucking rules against bullying now, so you can't talk about it. Right. So it's like if you just mention it, like, "Oh, don't do this," or you know, I don't know. It's fucking crazy, dude.
No, it's absolutely fucking crazy, and it's like, oh, I actually care about people, and maybe we should talk to them and be like, maybe this isn't the path for you. I don't want to say names, but Dave, I think you know who I'm talking about, a PA guy who was doing that and then stopped and went back to just being a man. And he's like the biggest proponent of like, hey, don't do this shit. He's writing Substacks about it. He's like, this is fucking bad. There's other things we could do. We could do therapy, like regular therapy. We could figure out the problem. Like every little boy goes in his mom's high heels and like walks around like, what the fuck is this like? Like I did it. I remember doing it. I was like 5. I
did it on Sunday.
Imagine my parents saw that and were like, dude, you're a fucking girl. And then cut my dick and balls off. And then literally alter the course of my life forever because of the agenda.
Imagine that. Affirming kids.
Yeah.
Kids come confused. Man, that was a confusing time being a teenager, right? 13 through whatever, 18, I don't know. It's fucking crazy. Imagine just some adult that you're supposed to like, I don't know.
Trust?
Like, yes, especially the parents, but teachers too. You know, imagine being 6, 5, and, you know, just like you said, man, you just play dress up all the time. I thought I was Superman for like 4 or 5 years. I wore those pajamas everywhere, right? So, like, imagine if, like, you know, your parents, like, affirmed that. Yes, you are Superman. Like, go
jump off this building. Right.
Yeah. Like, that's, you know, they let me have my fun. But, like, you have to be reality for your kids. You have to set that ground floor or they're fucked.
Now, Adam, we talked about this a couple weeks ago about what the goal is. And you said the goal is to have sex with the kids. Just a way to normalize pedophilia.
Yes, that's what I believe.
But what is the parent's goal? Is this just a cocktail party thing? Is this what it was like 10 years ago when you saw all these Hollywood celebrities adopting African kids saying, look how great of a person I am. Look at me going over to Zimbabwe and adopting this little black kid. And is that what it is? So they can, is this that Munchausen by proxy? Is this so you can go to your little brunch in San Francisco? It's all about window shopping.
100%. I think it's so they could jerk each other off in their fucking progressive circles and be like, well, I affirm my kids at 3. And the other guy's like, I did it at 1. And it's like, look how good I am. It's like, pat, pat, pat. Reality should be lined up against a fucking wall. Like, that's what should fucking happen. Because it's just fucking, like, how do we, like, because again, I don't see anybody just barging into people's homes and fucking taking kids. Like, I mean, like, regular people doing that. Like, so, like, how do we stop it? How do we help these fucking kids? Like, how can we, the 3 of us and others, do it without physically removing kids from people's homes?
Dude,
that's
the
where
only
I
way
fucking
right now,
get the problem
the only
with.
thing right now is to like loudly, publicly shame people and that culture, that entire thing. That's what I'm saying. You have to enter the culture war. Like, don't have no comment on that. That's fucking crazy. That's beyond autistic to have no comment on that. So, like, it's almost, I mean, it's an act of violence, right? And we are libertarians. So be against that and then figure out, like, what are the proper channels or, like, the whole protests or whatever. But, yeah, we do not live in Ancapistan, man.
You're right.
So I don't.
I think Matt Walsh's documentary, the What is Woman documentary, he pointed out such a brilliant psychological loophole these fuckers love to do. Was he was talking to that one trans doctor who was like performing trans surgeries on kids and stuff like that, and he goes, what would you what's that thing where like this is what he was saying to the doctor, he's like, where like if you don't think you should have your left hand and you cut it off, like would you tell someone to do that? And they go, no, that's crazy. That's a dysmorphia. So they acknowledge that that's a dysmorphia. But if you go, I want to cut my balls off, they go, oh, please, right this way. That can't possibly be a dysmorphia. It's fucking psychotic. The loopholes these motherfuckers do in their head, whatever mental gymnastics they have to play, the goalposts get moved every fucking time you talk to them. It's really crazy, and it really fucking drives me up the fucking wall. And like again, and they have the states back, or the state backs them. So like,
oh yeah, and honestly, when you talk about mental health crisis, I actually feel bad for the teenage gay kids because a lot of them are probably all gay. That's probably what's happening right now is that they're a little confused. They're gay, they're queer. And I mean, I remember in school, I had friends of mine, these girls who were what they called tomboys. So while the girls were playing Polly Pocket and Barbie dolls, she's throwing a vortex football with us at recess. Well, what happened to those girls? Some of them became lesbians. Some of them, grew out of it.
right.
You have to give kids a chance to try things, to possibly fail, to succeed. And okay, maybe you're 12 and it's a kid that's like, okay, well, boy, he really likes Barbara Streisand. I kind of think he's getting into that. He might be gay. Instead, it's like, no, he wants to be Barbara Streisand. So therefore, we need to cut his dick off and make a vaginoplasty and have him grow tits or whatever. And these other things that are popping up in these schools where they have these transition closets where if little Bobby wants to be Susie when he gets to school, they don't tell the parents. So the teacher has a transition closet. You walk in there, or how about Susie wants to be Bobby? So they have chest plates. So a girl who has budding breasts in her adolescence is getting them essentially pressed down so she can be a boy from 9 a.m. until 2:30 until the bell rings. Then 5 minutes left, she goes back in the transition closet and puts on her butch costume of being a girl again. I mean, it's sick what's happening right now. And luckily, we are calling it out. I think a lot of people are afraid of that alphabet mafia. I think it's the same way as that they were afraid of saying anything during Black Lives Matter and the riots. It's the same thing that they're afraid of being called a homophobe, a transphobe, a bigot, a xenophobe, everything like that. People are afraid of the stigma. And they're ultimately, just like with the vaccine, they're afraid of getting fired. People are just afraid of getting fired and losing everything. That's why they won't say anything.
Yeah, and like I also don't blame people for that because it's like, yeah, your number one priority is your family, and they have you by the balls there, and they know that, and they're doing that on purpose. Like, of course they're doing that on purpose. They're like, hey, we'll fire your shit if you fucking speak out against this. It's like, oh, well, I gotta feed my family, so what do I do? It's like, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, that's a fucking rock and a hard place situation. I don't know what to do either. But I'm more lucky I get to say this shit, and I can't really get in trouble.
Well, and that's the thing is that remember when we were talking about like when we were in college, they were allowing everybody to go to college. You can be completely retarded and get a 2 on your ACT, and they'll accept you into college because they want your money.
That was me.
So what happened is those people had to, if they didn't either drink themselves and flunk out of college, they got degrees, but they got meaningless. And for a while, you would hear it was a very boomer con phrase of they got these meaningless degrees. They've got lesbian dance theory and everything. Well, no, not necessarily. They got jobs as HR people. So those purple-haired lesbians who were marching and saying all sex is rape back in college 15 years ago, well, they had to get a job somewhere. So now they're the HR representative at Procter & Gamble. So Procter & Gamble says, yeah, we need to go through, we're going to shut our operations down for a few days because we're going to talk about trans lives and trans lives matter and everything because it's the women who are involved in this. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of that purple-haired lesbian because she's the one who's going to get them fired because they said they misgendered somebody. They didn't take a vaccine. They had their mask below their nose. And that's why everybody's they have to capitulate because they're afraid of losing everything for their families.
But this goes, okay, great point, right? But then this goes to my other question, and this is why I start to get all agenda-y and deep statey and shit like that. Okay, so the blue-haired lesbian ladies are now in HR. Okay, well, who hired them? And why are they hiring them?
Equity.
Right? So what's the bigger agenda? It's also these fucking corporations, like the ESG shit, which I don't understand because, like, I was saying this to Neil today, who I do call a bus with, like, on the train. Like, I was like, I used to think money was like always the bottom line answer for everything. Like no matter what, once the pockets started getting hit, it would flip. But That's not happening anymore.
That's
You were
20th
seeing
century shit, bro.
I know. I was still thinking like that, but like you're really seeing like with the ESG, especially with entertainment, right? You brought up the Billy Eichner Bros movie before. I went through a lot of his personal tweets on his personal Twitter account, going, "You homophobes won't see this movie. You gay bashers won't see this movie. You homophobes won't see this movie." Da, 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 da. And then no one saw the movie. He's like, "That's because you guys hate gays." I go, "Birdcage." That's my counter to that. Birdcage. Birdcage is a fucking great movie. Suck my dick, you fucking loser. Like that's you're gaslighting. You're gaslighting. You're just saying shit because you know you could get away with that. If I fucking ever or any of us ever was like, you won't see this movie because you fucking hate straight people, we get our Twitter shut down in 2 fucking seconds. In 2 fucking seconds. You guys know who Sneeko is?
No.
He was a YouTuber and like a Twitch cat, and he was a younger dude. And he was big on like, calling out the fucking agenda, calling out the regime, calling out like the Nazi feminist shit. He just appeared at Andrew Tate's house and they fucking nuked his YouTube channel.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yep. And it's like all, that's what I'm saying. I always said Tate and Jordan Peterson are like 2 sides of the same coin, different sides of the same coin. Like Jordan Peterson's a little more like mellow and Tate's like a little more alpha-y, but they were still dudes who were trying to be like, hey, don't simp for fucking chicks. Don't be a fucking man, work out, take care of your mental health.
Stop beating off.
Yeah, exactly. Like go out, live your life, like do good. And they're like, oh, we can't have young men getting that message. We need young men to be able to wear dresses and be emasculated. Bill Burr had a great bit a few specials ago where he was talking about he was on a plane and the plane was going through a lot of turbulence. And there was a man going like, oh, like every time the plane hit, he's like, that guy's going to reproduce. And he's like, that bitch DNA is going to keep going on. And he's fucking right. But he's right. Like, that's true. It's like these fuckers they get put on a pedestal by, again, Hollywood and entertainment. And we all see it. We can't not see it. Like if you like anything on TV, you're going to eventually see something. And then these guys get celebrated. And we don't. And then what happens? Oh, they'll fuck some hot model chick, and then they're gonna have another weak kid, and it's a fucking cycle. It's like never ending now. It's just how it is.
And it's that slippery slope. I love the meme with the here's the slippery slope. You posted it about the teacher with the kids. Yeah. So it's funny because progressives play the long game. And this isn't just something that this trans stuff popped up over time. This has been a conditioned thing for such a long time. And when you talk about the feminization of men, I mean, we've been talking about it for sitcoms of like, it's the dopey dad.
Yes.
And, there's the smart wife has to go, my husband, what a retard he is. And this has been going on for a while. And then look at children's books and literature. This is a true story. I've told this on my podcast before a few times, but my dad, there was a parent-teacher conference, or I was on a PTA meeting. And at my school in the 90s, so I'm 34, so this is probably maybe 1997, 98. My dad comes up there and says, yeah, I got a problem. I've noticed that every book in my kid's class is about a strong girl, and the boy is either retarded or like he's evil and he ends up backstabbing the family. It's always something, but every book is the strong woman. And he's like, I don't mind that, but can we have a balance? Can we have a book where the boy is? And my dad's like, the only book where the main character is a boy that any of the kids have read is the Ryan White story, and he dies of AIDS and hemophilia when he was in high school. Everything else was strong woman, and they thought it was a joke at the time. That was 25 years ago. Yeah. So this conditioning has been going on in our generation for a while, to the point where, yeah, you have all these. Well, if you don't watch She-Hulk, it means you hate strong women.
Right.
And we've been conditioned to this point of creating just big toddlers. And I can't stand it, culminating again full circle with the Happy Meals for adults, or getting excited about adulting today. And I've got my sticker because I didn't swear at anybody when I was driving today. And I get a sticker for a good job. What is going on?
No, you're right, and it's like a bummer because like, listen, I'm a big comic book guy. I have a fucking over $30,000 comic book collection. Like, I get it, but I also played football for 12 years. I did MMA for 10 years. Like, I fucking like I went out, I met women, I'm married. It's like a whole thing that it's not just like I'm a fucking comic book guy. That's like a fucking personality for a lot of these fucking weak men today. Where like you look at like they have podcasts stuff. And you look at it, it's just and their room is like a child's room, and I'm like. Do you not see yourself? Like, why the fuck would I listen to you? Why listen to anything you say? Like, what manly? And again, I'm not saying I'm the manliest guy. I'm not. Like, I can't build shit.
Yo,
not
Eric
handy.
July got a lot of comic books in that room, and that guy just made a lot of money.
But my point, but that's for his podcast studio. Is my point. But like, he's also not. But he's like, he's like a guy like me. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I have a lot of comic books. Again, I've over $30,000. But like, Eric July going
don't let fantasy ruin your fucking life.
Exactly. That's my point.
Enjoy it.
That's
I like the Marvel universe, or I did up until
I know, me too.
It's really shit the bed.
But that's my point. It's like I'm not saying you can't have cool. I mean, I had fucking a nice Carnage statue myself. Fuck, I get it. But I don't go that like this is my Carnage statue, and then over here is it's like no, it's like I was like, oh, that's a cool thing, right? Anyway, let's go fucking watch football. Like, let's go.
Have you seen some of those YouTube videos of people talking about Batman, where they say, Batman, they said that he can lift about 800 pounds, but, there's some that say that Batman can lift 1,000 pounds. I'm like, Batman is a drawing. Batman is a fictional character, and you've spent a half-hour YouTube video talking about how much Batman can lift. Like, what? We have toddlers. These are toddlers we have in our society.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's, again, it's all been done. And like, Tony, you said, the left did a brilliant job at infiltrating everything that the right or libertarian didn't deem necessary 30, 40, 50 years ago. Like, they got into entertainment because think about it, especially this is the big trope of the right for a long time until right now. They're like, entertainment doesn't matter. Who cares about movies? It's not important. Why would that matter? Why should we focus our time on that? Well, now you fucking reap what you sow, you idiots.
You lost.
Seeing it. Right, you lost. It's done. Like, there's no getting it back. It's way too entrenched. So... And like the Blaze is making their own shit. It's like, yeah, man. I guess A for effort, but like,
too late. It's a little too late.
It's not gonna work. It's just not gonna hold.
I think a lot of it has to do with you marketing your audience. And I remember this a couple of years ago. Do you remember when Gillette had that whole ad campaign about toxic masculinity?
Yes.
And it was funny because this is Gillette, the razor company that in every commercial for 40 years had long-legged blonde models shaving from all the way down from their ankles all the way to their cooch, and these sexy "I'm your Venus" commercials. Yeah. And they're all just wearing towels, and it was always that sexual nature. And yet they decided to do a 180 and say like, hey man, it's really not cool. You guys are being too toxic and catcalling women, and this is a shame what's happening. And as much as you think, wow, boy, they shot themselves in the foot because of all their marketing campaign. But in reality, who goes to buy razors? It's usually the wife. It's usually the woman who's been indoctrinated with a lot of these blue-pilled women who watch all these commercials and watch these TV shows and go, yeah, you know what? I did see that Gillette commercial, and I like what they're doing now. I am going to go buy a pack of Gillette. And the guy's like, oh, hey, cool, I got razors. And they don't think two things about it. So all they're doing is they're marketing to everyone but the people recording this podcast right now. They're not even thinking about us. They don't care about us. They know that we're too gone. We're too off the reservation where they can label us anything they want. But they're trying to market people who do not do this type of research. They're marketing to people who do not care about this stuff. That they're still stuck in advertising from 1980 something where, oh, where's the beef? Oh, okay. Wow, I like that commercial. I'm going to go to Wendy's now because I thought that commercial was funny. When was the last time you saw a commercial and you were like, now I have to buy that product? No, we were like, okay, well, when's the game back on? I'm just waiting for kickoff right now. But that's what it is they're not entertainment is not marketed to us anymore. So that's why the Daily Wire, that's why the Blaze, that's why they're creating their own content because, and again, good for them. It's too late, but it's good for them to try to at least fill that marketplace because again, we have to create our own content and podcasts because otherwise we know Hollywood and Madison Avenue are not going to do that for us anymore.
But why the shift though? Like, remember in the 80s and the 90s, it was like all about Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, Sylvester Stallone movies. Shit was marketed to dudes, which I feel like it's almost weird to say that, but like, yeah, comic books were for boys. I don't mean like they were written typically for boys. She-Hulk was like, in 1992, was like a pinup model that was green.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Black Widow, like, used her hotness to like infiltrate and like kill people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird that they take our heroes and destroy them.
It's on purpose, right? Of course. Like,
of course it is. So like, and it's weird, and all the studios and everything is complicit. But like, I also find it strange that like, as far as like, you know, we were just talking, you know, about the blending of sexuality and feminism is, you know, perverted and something bastardized and weird. But like, in the 90s and into the 2000s, like, shit was like, commercials and everything was just like hyper sexualized, almost to the point of like smut. It almost like hit a tipping point. So I'm not saying like toxic masculinity is a legit phrase, but maybe at one point you could have said like, all right, man, maybe like tone it down a little bit. And again, like, that gets perverted, and it's like the backlash from just like, I don't know, like normalcy. You don't need like porno in daytime television commercials, I don't think, right?
Agreed.
In fact, when I'm flipping down Facebook in the morning and like I'm just like sipping my coffee, it's like I don't need like some like slut like fucking running through, you know, those live feed things. Like, it's just like, Jesus Christ, like, tone it the fuck down.
Well, I think
you know what I mean?
It's got to be basically a write-off at this point now, because I mean, who green lights a gay rom-com? You automatically, by having a gay rom-com, you're nobody in the East, nobody in the Middle East is going to watch this movie.
China.
And you've already taken away much of the West too, because you either have straight men who don't want to see this, some women don't want to see it. A lot of gay guys don't want to see it either. They're like, yeah, no, I'm good. And again, who wants to see a rom-com? Like, is this Julia Roberts and Matthew McConaughey? Is this Made in Manhattan? Is this Notting Hill?
Forgetting
Nobody wants to see a rom-com in the theater anymore.
And you know, unlike the Birdcage, I think there's lots of like gay, like romance scenes in this, which, you know, like, dude, I'm cool with whatever anybody wants to do. It's fine, but that's gross. So like, I don't want to go watch that.
But when
personally.
you market a movie to 3% of the population.
Right. Dude, I posted about this. I'm like, this actually happened. And I think, it wasn't in Philly, but a lesbian opened a sports bar called the Sports Bra that only played women's sports. I'm like, you're the niche of the niche of the niche. There's going to be 2 people in town that might give a fuck about your place, and they're going to come once a month. Like, you know what I mean? You can't expect success. And of course it failed.
Of course it did. Well, again, going back to Bill Burr, he goes, you know, oh, support the WNBA. None of you go. Right. And he's right.
Stop trying to force it, right?
Right.
Like, it's just weird. It's unnatural.
It's completely subsidized by the NBA, the WNBA. They pay for the whole entire fucking league, the NBA. And why? Why are they paying for it? Because that's the thing. Because the ESG and all this bullshit, right? So, like, that's why they're paying for it. Because there's no way they're making money off the WNBA. The NBA.
And imagine the fracturing of one's potential audience is something that as a comic, who wants to go on stage and have half the audience hate you?
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I either want all of them to hate me,
or no one, right?
or like, I want no one to like me or everyone to like me.
Yep.
Well, actually, I don't want everyone to like me. I want you to have an opinion about me when I get off stage. And so, if you're a comic, like Stephen Colbert claimed to be, so Stephen Colbert's show, automatically he says, I'm a liberal and I don't like conservatives. I look down upon you. So you immediately cut half your potential audience.
Right.
But that's also your hope is that you think every progressive is going to watch your show, which is not the case. Plus it's on too late. Plus people don't care about late night TV anymore. So your potential audience on a pie chart is a sliver. It's not even enough to fill you for dessert. Based on how much your potential audience is getting. And again, as a comic, as a podcaster, as whatever, it's odd to think that you would do that in Hollywood, of having a completely woke movie and have essentially like 2%, like you said, 3% of your audience, a potential audience. And again, that's not even to say that the people who it's marketed to are going to go see this movie. There's a lot of things where it's like, yeah, no, I got stuff going on, or no, I don't really like Billy Eichner, or no, that's
Right.
not really interesting to me. So it's a fraction of a
He is
fraction. And then he's just going to be he's going to get pissed off about it and blame homophobes because that's the playbook. Oh, it's all these you don't want to see strong gay characters. It's like I don't want to see your movie. It's not because I'm homophobic. I'm homophobic towards your movie.
Right.
if you want to call it that.
It's
Yeah.
cool. It's interesting to think though. Like Adam was saying earlier, like what's with the turn? Because like I don't think it's Stephen Colbert deciding that he doesn't want double the audience. Like if anything, it's Viacom Inc. saying
Yeah.
we don't want double that audience, and you say this stuff
Because we pay
right?
you millions of dollars, so you're
Right,
going to do what we say. Right.
Why doesn't Viacom, who owns CBS and Nickelodeon and BET and MTV, why do they all say the same stuff just through a million different mouthpieces? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know, but like, and going back to the Stephen Colbert thing, because you have guys like Colbert and Kimmel or fucking Corbin or where the fuck that fat English dude's name is, and they say their dumb liberal bullshit in front of their own audience, so 100 people like, you know, but it ends there. That's the thing, and they think that translates to the rest of the country, their little shit audience, and you see it actually in Bill Maher's show the most because Bill will say a lot of shit that pisses off like the left, and his crowd is super fucking left usually. And he'll say something like kind of down the middle and be like, well, actually, I think that's kind of crazy. And they just go silent on him. He's like, fuck you. He's like, what do you mean? Like
don't
he'll call him
chemically
out.
castrate kids. Boo!
Right. That's my point.
Yeah.
So it's like you see it. These audience also, what loser is going to see like a late night show in 2022?
Oh, it's pathetic.
That's what I'm saying. Like
You're only going, like, if you're in New York and you're going to see the Late Show, it's because it's the Ed Sullivan Theater and David
Yes.
Letterman did the show here and Elvis. So you're doing it because it's a form of nostalgia. But those people, they'll probably be the only time they see Colbert because no one's watching the show. No one's watching any of these. I mean, luckily, we've kind of broken that algorithm a little bit of. We don't have to wait for Jay Leno and David Letterman to come on at 11:30 to hear our nightly yucks. It's not the case anymore. It's the same in sports. I mean, especially in 2020, I said this when they shut the leagues down because of COVID, and then they had to lecture us about George Floyd. I'm just like, yeah, no, not interested. And so what I do, I started watching football games from 30 years ago. Like I was watching the Atlanta Falcons and the Green Bay Packers and Deion Sanders on the Falcons at the time. I'm like, I'd rather watch this instead of all this other bullshit that's happening in the current day because we have those capabilities of doing that. So the one good thing is that when Stephen Colbert has dancing vaccines on his show, the only way it goes viral is because it's getting roundly mocked, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Yo, you're right. Because I mean, that chick went around Twitter like a fucking hot potato, and we're like, look at this
Completely
fucking loser.
Yo, I used to love, by the way, like Conan O'Brien. I used to
Same.
love David Letterman. I used to love Saturday Night Live 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And I know that shit was always corporate sponsored. NBC, same company, Viacom, right, owns that shit. But their messages were a tad different then. You know what I mean? It was not so blatant what they were doing. And yeah, I don't know, man. I thought that shit was kind of edgy, at least Saturday Night Live sometimes. But man, it's fucking disappointing.
Well, you guys know I mean, Tony, you probably know, but Dave, the whole Shane Gillis debacle from a few years ago, like, you know, they strictly were getting Shane because, besides the fact that Shane's a fucking monster murderer on stage, he's hilarious, right? Shane Gillis is fucking one of the best comics in the country working right now. That aside, they directly wanted him and pushed so hard for him. Like, do you guys know even the backstory of like his audition and stuff like that? Shane was always a guy who was like, I just want to do my podcast and comedy. I don't give a fuck about like acting or shit like that, right? It was always his goals, like comedy I don't care. They were like, hey, why don't you send a writing packet? And he was like, no, like I don't want to, right? They said, you know what? Fuck it. Just come audition. And like usually the SNL auditions, if you heard all the stories of like, it's like, I got to go do goofy voices and like improv and like all this shit. Shane went up, did 5 minutes of stand up, crushed to only the 7 people who were there. And they wanted him, especially because he was more of a conservative voice, to balance out their audience. But as soon as, you know, shit hit the fan and the bullshit came up with the podcast stuff, they went, oh, nope, never mind. So
Was it a setup?
No, not from SNL. It wasn't set up from SNL. No.
Okay.
They would have got more money. They would have got more viewership out of him because more conservatives, more libertarians would be like, oh, fucking Shane's on SNL. No, what happened? Like, I don't even want to say their name. I don't want to give these people any fucking credence. But there's one comedy journalist, which is not a real thing. It's not a real job.
Is this the sex pest?
Yes, the sex pest. Yes, I don't want to say his name. I don't want to give him any fucking credit. And now failed comedy club in Philly waited for him to get named that he was hired, and then they went, look what he said on this podcast. And again, he was just doing a bit on his podcast. It wasn't even like him saying it. It was a bit, right? That got him fucking shit canned. And now he is doing better than he ever would have done on SNL. So like good. Like he had to go through a year or two of shit, but like
that's quite a launch, right? With all that controversy is good. Especially in comedy, right?
Yes, because you know what happens? All guys like us and women like us who see that shit and they go, oh, yo, Shane's hilarious. Again, I knew Shane just from comedy and doing the Philly scene and stuff like that. But like, if you're not a comic and you're like, oh shit, dude, this guy's fucking funny.
As
Where
the
is he
only
from?
non-comic here, I didn't hear of him until the SNL controversy.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
And then boom, on Rogan a bunch now. I mean, fucking touring with Bert Kreischer, hanging out with Nate Diaz and shit. Like, yeah, he's crushing it. Good. I'm very happy. His fucking the sketch show he does with his partner McKeever, fucking, it's amazing. It's so fucking funny. I mean, and I'm glad that happened to him because he's a truly funny guy who deserves that shit. And then you watch all these fucking hacks on SNL who are truly unfunny.
Yo, let me drop some white pills real quick. What do you guys think about all these people dropping off SNL? They're quitting. Trevor Noah just quit. Like,
I saw that.
So did or the blonde girl who's awful on TBS.
Samantha Bee.
Samantha Bee, because
awful.
no one's watching those shows.
Vile, disgusting. This bitch got fired. And so did Corden, James Corbin. I think they're all fucking all these shows. And then the WB merged with a company and they're shutting down the woke shit. The Batman movie, they're like, fuck this. We're not even putting this out. This is garbage.
The Batgirl movie. Yeah, but that surprised me. I gotta be honest with you. Again, I think it has to go back to they're losing, not I wouldn't say billion, but high millions of dollars.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's unsustainable.
It's unsustainable. And if
Right.
your job is to make blockbuster comic book movies, you can't do it with a $100,000 budget.
Bro, and not only that, but you're fucking, not only are you making a movie that's high budget, but you're fucking with a franchise. A big, like Batman, you're bringing back Bruce, Michael Keaton for this movie? Like, if it's not amazing, don't. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they're thinking, like, you really could fuck this whole thing up.
Well, I mean, as a comic book guy myself, I stopped watching Marvel pretty much completely. I watched the last Batman movie because it wasn't really wokey. It was just a Batman movie. You know, it was fine. Okay. Yeah, it was, but like, you know, I was watching Andor, the Star Wars show, and because it's so far, I haven't picked up any bullshit, but I heard the showrunners have interviews, and they're like, the message is like, fuck, it's coming.
Is it good so far?
Like, what?
Would you recommend it?
Yes, so far.
Okay, all right.
4 episodes in, it's just a story of Star Wars. It's a Star Wars story. You know what I'm saying?
Something's up, dude.
Something's up. I feel it coming because you know why? It's not run by Jon Favreau. And Jon Favreau with The Mandalorian, he's like, no, we're just doing Star Wars. I don't give a fuck about any of this bullshit. And I mean, I'm sure he does for his Hollywood friends and stuff. But as far as the storyteller goes, he's like, no, we're just doing Star Wars shit. But I'm telling, I heard an interview with a showrunner and a writer, and they're both like, the message has to be this, and a strong woman, villain, by the way, she's a bad guy in the fucking show. And it's like, which is, again, it's Star Wars. It could be anything. But what's the fucking message? Blow up the Death Star? That should be the only message in the Star Wars show. Yeah. You know, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, what are you trying to tell me? Like, I don't get it.
Yo,
so it's unsustainable.
How about the woman who plays the lead in the new Game of Thrones, who identifies as non-binary, says that she's like, yeah, I think I'm really good at playing women.
Well, you are one, so I would hope so.
She's like having this is interesting. Like, I'm really taking on the role, and I feel like I'm really owning it.
I won't even. I love Game of Thrones, and I won't watch that. I just refuse. I've become.
Okay. It's better than I thought. Go ahead, watch it.
No, I just become like a crotchety old man with like a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not
You
watching
can
this
shake
new
your fist
thing.
at the TV.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
I just keep watching Old American Dad reruns, like shit like that.
You know, my favorite part. You know what my favorite part I was going to say about Star Wars is how by 2022, no one expected. George Lucas had no thoughts that we would still be talking about this fucking movie. That it was a one-off movie. And then they had that Star Wars Christmas special, the Chewbacca Comes Home or whatever, and it's all a variety show, and they got B. Arthur singing in it, and Harvey Korman is dressed like Julia Child's monster or whatever, and everyone's like, oh, boy, that's got to be embarrassing. It's like, no, he didn't think we were going to be talking nearly a half century later about Star Wars.
But it is,
and that's why the franchise, in my opinion, has gotten progressively worse, because I think they ran out of the concepts. I mean, I thought Empire was the best. And Jedi, I'm like, yeah, you're losing me, and they've lost me now for 40 years.
No, Empire was the best one. Jedi was good. Shut up. But my dad made it.
It's fine.
My dad made it with the Ewoks. Well, they wanted to make him a bunch of Wookiees, and they're like, we can't afford this, so they were gonna get midgets and put them in fucking costumes. But
Get Jim Henson.
Yo,
but
Star
my dad
Wars
made
was Star Wars was the model for everything, though. Like
marketing.
He got the toy rights. The movie studio didn't even think about that. So they made these. He probably didn't think about that. What that would be
for sure.
ultimately. But he became a billionaire, and then that became the model for everything else. Franchise
Ghostbusters,
and make toys, and sell billions of dollars worth of toys, and keep recycling that for generations.
My dad made actually a really great point. First of all, fuck Lucas, because he's the one. Like, we're shitting on Star Wars now. Like, it's Kathleen Kennedy's fault. No, it's kind of Lucas's fault, because when he made the fucking 90s remake shit with like all the new special effects, they made Greedo shoot first, not Han.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
And my dad made that point to me the other day. It's like, oh, dude, you're fucking right. It started back then. They're like, well, Han can't be we can't have him be a bad guy. He's like, he's not a bad. It's called character arc. He was a piece of shit scumbag, and through 3 movies, he became a fucking hero. That's called good writing. And you're trying to retcon it to be like, well, he was always a good guy, but he wasn't.
Yeah,
He's
and
an
after
anti-hero.
Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker turns into a reclusive piece of shit who doesn't want to hang out with anybody and a fucking curmudgeon. It's the worst, dude. What they did to, one of the best heroes of our generation,
I agree. Well, we got a little over an hour, guys. We can start wrapping up. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. Please plug your stuff. Tony, what do you got?
Yeah, it's the Check Your Brain podcast. It's available for free every Wednesday. My guest on tomorrow is Jim Florentine. So good old Jim. So you can check that out for free. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/Tony Mazur, TonyMazur. And I'm going to probably be doing stand-up this weekend with Jim, and then working on some dates as we head into, good Lord, 2023. So keep me posted, or I'll keep you posted at Tony Mazur on Twitter.
Boom. Dave.
Yeah, I'm Dave vs. Goliath everywhere except Twitter. I'm still hiding in the wings there. But definitely subscribe at YouTube and or Odyssey, iTunes, Spotify. That'd be great.
Boom. And you guys know, go follow Cult of Us, go follow this podcast and all that great shit. Gentlemen, it's a pleasure as always. Don't get off. I want to talk to you guys afterwards. But everybody else, it's been fun. Peace out.
Thanks for listening. Find Adam on social media, Twitter and IG at Adam Nutter, or Facebook and TikTok at Adam Nutter Comedy. And for podcasts and merch, check out www.droptent.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
This has been a Drop Tent Media Production.